So as we already know, Tesla and Elon Musk have had a pretty rough year in 2025 so far, but it could actually be turning around. Tesla is up 5.33% today on the 2nd of April. And even though they are down year to date 25.45%, they are showing signs of life based on some news that just came out that could have a big effect on Tesla's stock for the rest of the year and going forward.
Shares, though, are shrugging off that comment. They moved higher on the initial Politico story, holding on to their 5% gain. Let's bring in Eamon Jabbers with more. And Eamon, I can't help it. When there's smoke, sometimes there's fire.
Yeah, Kelly, and part of the reason why the shares might be reacting that way is because Caroline Levitt is trying to do two things at once here with this tweet she just put out. On the one hand, she wants to call the Politico report. She does call the Politico report garbage. She says this quote unquote scoop is garbage. Elon Musk and President Trump have both publicly stated that Elon will depart from public service as a special government employee when his incredible work at Doge is complete. So on the one hand, she's calling the report garbage, but on the other hand, she's essentially confirming the thrust of the report here, which is that Elon Musk will be leaving at the end of that 130-day period of time.
So they're kind of saying, well, he may not be leaving just yet, but it's supposed to be after the 130 days of him doing this, which is probably coming up pretty soon, considering we're already into the 4th month of 2025. So you're talking about if he were to actually step down and maybe even separate himself from politics a little bit, which I think is a big part of why everybody's burning Teslas all over the world. In fact, they actually just had 16 more or so burned at a dealership in Rome, and this has been going on all year. They've had some in Rome, they've had some in all parts of the world, as well as even Germany and also Italy and France, where EVs, charging stations, etc. are being burned all over the place. So if he actually steps down and focuses more on his businesses again, maybe there will be, although it may not happen right away, maybe people will start leaving Teslas alone.
And all of that is broadly consistent with that 130-day limit that we've known that's been in place for Musk's timeline as a special governmental employee. That limit is expected to be reached at the end of May, depending on how you count the days there.
So at the end of May, he's supposed to be done as a government employee. So this is not meant to be a permanent issue. So on one hand, you could be like, well, this might be the cheapest I can get Tesla for a very long time. On the other hand, you might be like, well, what if they never recover? But the other problem is they've done other things that have nothing to do with his political stance, which is apparently there are accusations that Tesla has been accused of gaming Canada's EV rebate program. And this came out just a couple weeks ago. So there are a lot of issues, not just his political stances, and some of the questionable decisions he's made on camera and questionable things he said at conferences this year and at the end of last year, but also things like this, where they are being accused of fraud in some areas, while also people in other countries are burning down their Teslas and selling them at very high rates. People are not happy with Elon Musk in general and are trying to punish him in some ways, whether it's consumers or others, because of some of the controversial things he's been doing.
In February, officials close to the White House did tell Politico that Musk's timeline was indefinite and could, last longer than 130 days if Trump wanted to. But now there are these dueling pressures on Elon Musk, right? Enormous pressure on Tesla's stock since its post-election peak, as Musk's relationship with Trump has sparked Tesla protests and boycotts. And there's also a sense simultaneously in Washington that Musk is becoming more of a political liability for Trump than otherwise for this White House. Voters in Wisconsin yesterday rejecting Musk's involvement in the Supreme Court election there, allowing liberals to maintain a majority on the court, Kelly. So there are reasons why, if you were the White House, you might want to allow Elon Musk to leave at the end of that deadline. And I should say, even while we have the White House pushing back on that report, while simultaneously sort of semi-confirming it, we also have NBC News now with a White House official confirming that President Trump did have this discussion with cabinet members in the cabinet meeting.
So what are we already thinking that Elon Musk could actually be becoming a liability for Trump's ratings as president, even though he might have been a big factor in getting him elected in the first place. But now people seem to be souring on Elon Musk, when before, if you asked people a few years ago, a lot of people thought he was, the greatest person ever. But then when he bought Twitter, now known as X, which is also having problems right now under Elon's leadership. In case you haven't noticed, Twitter, or X, was hit by a 2.8 billion profile data leak in alleged insider job, and that was reported literally just 4 days ago. So on top of the issues with Tesla, he's got this huge data leak that happened with Twitter, and apparently the Trump administration, there are rumblings, obviously they are going to deny it publicly, that Elon might actually become a liability for public perception of the Trump administration. All of which makes it very difficult to convince myself to buy Tesla, when if you asked me a few years in the past, I might have been more open to it.
Last month, before bringing cameras in for the public version of that meeting. So the idea was he told cabinet members that Musk would be leaving in coming weeks, and then brought in cameras to praise Elon Musk on camera, the portion of that meeting that we all saw, in which he called Elon a patriot, Kelly.
So, and I do wonder, actually, if the loss in Wisconsin loses him political capital in the White House.
I think it definitely does. I mean, you're right to focus on that. And then this idea of how badly damaged Tesla's brand has been by Elon Musk's involvement here, sort of hasn't gone unnoticed by the Trump White House either. But I think Elon's status as the world's richest person and an enormous pocketbook for future Republican candidates, I think makes him a little bit sui generis in this, in the sense that, a typical political figure might experience a reversal and they'd lose some credibility. But Elon is not a typical political figure, and he's got staying power that others don't have.
And Eamon, quickly, the White House is now...
It obviously helps you to have the richest man in the world backing you in any political scenario, even if he is pretty controversial, because obviously money helps you get elected, or at least helps you get your name towards the top. So just a quick look over of Tesla stock right now. It's up 5.33% today. Year to date, down 25.45%. The past year, it's still up 69.69%. It was actually considered one of the Magnificent Seven in 2024, along with Nvidia, Amazon, Microsoft, and a few others. But Tesla, with the way 2025 has gone, just look at the very start of 2025. It's almost been, just a straight nosedive. It's up a little bit today, but some people think the tariff announcements, because Tesla is an American company, that maybe the tariffs could help them be maybe a little more popular, because they may not have to raise their prices as much as foreign imported manufacturers. But he was literally like paying people or giving away $1 million to people, trying to get them to vote in Wisconsin, and the candidate Elon Musk was backing still lost. So it's basically L after L right now. Elon Musk is still obviously the richest person in the world, and still has a lot of people that believe in him, and still has a lot of success. But even if he takes a step back from politics here in the next month, would Tesla still be something like you could invest in and be able to sleep at night knowing all of this controversy is going on? For me in particular, I don't think I would want to do it. Only about, if you look at Tesla's scores from their employees, another thing I like to look at just as one small indicator, their overall reviews aren't that bad necessarily, but only about half of them would recommend working here to a friend, and only about half of them actually approve of Elon Musk. It just goes to show you, even his own employees are not really sure what to think of him. They're pretty split, just like everybody else in the world on the outside, it seems like, on whether or not they believe he's taking Tesla and maybe even some of his other businesses in the right direction. In my opinion, I think it's just a little early to start trying to buy into Tesla again. PE ratio is extremely high right now, 138.72. In the past year, they're up 70% or so still, but already down 25% in 2025. We don't know if there's something else that's going to come out politically, or if people are going to keep burning their Teslas or what right now. So it's a little bit of a high risk investment right now, even though you could try and argue that maybe things could be turning around.